Well, guys, it's now time for my Week 3 picks of the 2021 NFL season. And, of course, last week, I went 12-4. Best so far of this year. Nice turnaround after going 7-9, as I'm 19-13 right now. And, of course, here is the regular season stands and the playoff stands at the season ended today. In the AFC, it's the Raiders with the bye, with Chiefs at Ravens, Steelers at Bills, and Broncos at Texans. And the NFC, it's the Rams with the bye, with 49ers at Buccaneers, Cardinals at the football team, and Panthers at the Packers. And my Super Bowl pick right now would be the Bills and Rams in the Super Bowl. So now let's get to the Week 1 picks, as we start with a very interesting, somewhat surprising Thursday night game, as the Panthers are at the Texans for the first time since 2019, as the Panthers try to go 3-0 for the first time since 2015. The Panthers won the last three. The Texans haven't beaten them since 2007. They haven't beaten them at home since 2003. And this is this is the extra 17th game we're talking about. Playing a team that they played last time 2 years ago. Because these two were not supposed to play each other until 2023. That was supposed to be at the Panthers, not at the Texans. So anyways, the Panthers completely shut down the Saints on last Sunday, to the point where now they have the number one defense in every single category. They're off to a really hot start, surprisingly. And the Texans, they lost to the Browns, although it wasn't necessarily an ugly loss, but losing Tyrod Taylor hurts. And of course, they're still refusing to do Deshaun Watson. But regardless of who wins this game, this is going to be surprising, either one of them. Texans maybe being 2-1, or hell, the Panthers being 3-0. But right now, the Panthers are looking better, so I'm going to pick the Panthers for this. But watch, the Texans are going to pull up an upset and get the win. Then we get to Sunday action, as it's still a big one in AFC South despite the records, as it's the Colts at the Titans. The Titans won the last one. The Colts haven't beaten them since last year, Thursday night, and the Titans haven't won at home since 2017, as the Colts try to avoid 0-3 for the first time since 2011. And as the Colts lost a close one to the Rams, and of course Carson Wentz went out, and I don't remember if he's playing or not this week. Meanwhile, the Titans, they pulled off a big comeback against the Seahawks. It looked like they were done, but they actually pulled off the comeback. Oh boy, this game, these two were the division leaders last year, and here they are struggling pretty much going into week 3. This is pretty crucial for them, because whoever get this might possibly lead the AFC South, depending on if the Texans lose. So this is really important for either of them. And even though they lost their first two games, I'm actually going to pick the Colts to get this in a possible upset, since they always seem to beat the absolute crap out of the Titans at home, on the road the last few years. And it's amazing. And of course, they struggled. They almost beat the Rams last week, and the Rams were better than the Titans. So I'm picking the Colts to get the upset here. So then we get a battle of someone going to finally end their losing streak, as the Falcons are at the Giants for the first time since 2015, as the Falcons try to avoid 0-3 for the second year in a row. The Giants try to avoid 0-3 for the second year in a row as well. Falcons won the last two. The Giants haven't beaten them. No, they haven't beaten the Giants since... the Giants, haven't beaten them since 2014. So, the Falcons... Oh my god, that team just fell apart against the Buccaneers, especially at the end with Matt Ryan. It reminded me a lot of like Carson Palmer in the 2015 NFC Championship, where he just kept turning it over at the end of the game. And it really made the score even more lopsided. And the Giants, they blew it against the football team. They looked so good, but they just couldn't get it in the end. So, this one is probably going to be ugly as hell. I thought at the beginning of the year, the Falcons would easily get this win, but after the way they played these last 2 weeks beginning of the year, man, they definitely have not recovered so far. I thought they were going to be much better once at the beginning of the season, but nope, nothing. It is just bad. That good momentum they need to start the year is just gone. So it's really just who you trust more. And although my better judgment would probably say Falcons, I'm actually going to pick the Giants in an upset to get this one. So then a big one in the AFC West is whoever loses is going to be in the bottom of the division, surprisingly. As it's the Chargers at the Chiefs. Chargers won the last one. The Chiefs haven't beaten them since last year. And they haven't beaten the Chargers at home since 2019. As the Chargers lost a close one to the Cowboys. And the Chiefs, oh my god, that was pretty embarrassing that you blew it against the Ravens. You had a big lead. You had their number throughout the entire game, and you couldn't keep the momentum up to keep undefeated against them. As the Chiefs' defense has been really, really bad. As you look at this, they're the worst in yards allowed and rushing yards allowed. And the Chargers' defense isn't necessarily much better either. They got a lot of problems with them too as well. So this game could go right down to the wire in terms of offensive shootout. But I'm going to pick the Chiefs still for this one as their offense is better, plus at home. So then we get a pretty important AFC matchup as whoever wins this is going to have the lead into the division as the Bengals are at the Steelers. The Bengals won the last one. Remember that Monday night game last year. The Steelers haven't beaten them since 2020. And the Bengals haven't won in Heinz Field since 2015. As the Bengals, they got crushed by the Bears before making somewhat of a comeback. And the Steelers, you played pretty bad against the Raiders. That was pretty bad. I picked the Raiders to win, yeah, but I didn't think they were going to win like, what, 9 points? And look pretty damn good. Yeah, the Steelers, I knew the Steelers were going to struggle, but I didn't think it was going to be like a reverse where they lose the Bills but beat the Raiders. They're definitely not looking good right now. They have the worst rushing offense in the league. Their offense is bad. Their defense is actually bad too. If anything, the Bengals, if you look at their stats, are overall better. Their defense is significantly better so far. Top 10 in almost all the categories. That is crazy. So, the Bengals might be possibly primed for an upset maybe. But I'm still going to pick the Steelers for this one. And then we get an outer conference matchup as the Bears are at the Browns for the first time since 2013. As the Bears won the last two, the Browns haven't beaten them since 2005. So the Bears, they actually got their first win of the year against the Bengals. And of course, Andy Dalton got injured, so Justin Fields is now starter. And he better stay the starter even when Dalton's healthy. He needs to stay the starter for the rest of the season. And the Browns, meanwhile, managed to beat the Texans, although they struggled at first. And Baker Mayfield got injured too. But I'm going to pick the Browns for this one. But knowing them and knowing the Bears will probably like pull off some incredible like fluky upset. Alright, so then we get to the Ravens at the Lions for the first time since 2013. As the Lions try to avoid 0-3 for the first time since 2015. The Ravens won the last 3. The Lions haven't beaten them since 2005. So the Ravens finally beat the Chiefs. Chiefs took forever as Lamar looked really, really bad at first quarter. But then he turned it around in the end to manage to save the game. As the Lions, they played good against the Packers in the first half, but they got destroyed in the second half. The weird thing about this game is the Ravens' offense, other than their pass yards, is really good, but their defense has been just flat out bad. Like, they have like one of the worst defenses to start the year. They've allowed over 30 points the first 2 games of the year. And the weird thing about the Lions is their offense is playing pretty solid. Look at that. They're between 12 and 14 every statistical category. Even their rushing offense isn't that bad. Their defense, though, still has a lot of problems with them, and they're allowing way too many points, though. And I have a funny feeling the Lions could maybe possibly pull off an upset here because the Ravens have not been playing good so far this year, but I'm still going to pick the Ravens to get this one. Then a big outer conference matchup as the Saints are at the Patriots for the first time since 2013. As the Patriots won the last 2, the Saints haven't beaten them since 2009, and they haven't won in Foxborough since 1995. As the Saints, they got shot back down to reality after that blowout victory against the Packers. As look at that. They got destroyed by the Panthers to the point where their offense, they have the worst passing offense and the worst offense in yards. Their defense really took a massive beating, but still really good considering the stats. And the Patriots, meanwhile, they embarrassed the Jets. That was more of the Jets implode than necessarily the Patriots playing good. Their defense is playing very good. Their offense, not good whatsoever. But they're hanging in there. So, of course, they're going to come down to... This game might honestly come down to, is Jameis Winston going to play like he did against the Packers, or is he going to play like the Panthers? And I lean towards him playing like the Panthers than the Packers. So, with that, I'm picking the Patriots to get this one. As I actually lifted that up. Alright, so let's see. Can I... No, not yet. Alright, so then an outer conference matchup as the Cardinals are at the Jaguars for the first time since 2013. As the Cardinals try to go 3-0 for the first time since 2015. And the Jaguars try to avoid 0-3 for the first time since 2016. As the Cardinals managed to hold on and beat the Vikings just barely to go 2-0 for the second year in a row. And the Jaguars lost to the Panthers. The Cardinals haven't won the last 3. The Jaguars haven't beaten them since 2005, and they haven't beaten them at home since 2000, or only win against them at home as the Cardinals have a 3-2 series lead on them. Cardinals offense is playing very good. Their defense is a little bit suspect, though, as the Jaguars, of course, they're a bad team. No one is surprised about that, as Trevor Lawrence is still playing really bad, but again, bad team we expect. I'm picking the Cardinals for this one, but something also tells me that the Jaguars might pull off an upset. This is usually where a bad team usually gets their first win, like around week 3 usually. Then we get to a big outer conference matchup with division winners from last year, as the football team are at the Bills for the first time since 2019. Another extra game from this 17-game schedule. As the Bills won the last one, the football team hasn't beaten them since 2015, and they haven't won in Buffalo since 1987. So the football team, it was an ugly game, but they held on to beat the Giants to at least salvage the start to the year, which they needed. And the Bills shut out the Dolphins. As you see, their offense is not looking really good. Their defense is now looking really elite. It looks like the team more like from 2019, because remember, 2019, they had a very good defense. Their offense was like mediocre. Whereas last year, their offense was elite. Their defense was mediocre. And their offense needs to play much better if they want to have any shot to make the Super Bowl this year. And I'm still picking the Bills for this one, but do not underestimate the football team. They're going to be a problem. All right, now we finally get down here. All right, so then it's the Jets at the Broncos for the first time since 2017. As the Broncos won the last one, the Jets haven't beaten them since 2018. They haven't won in Denver since 2010. The Jets try to avoid 0-3 for the third year in a row. Broncos are trying to go 3-0 for the first time since 2016. As the Jets, oh my God! It's bad enough that you lose the Patriots. It's bad enough that you lose the Patriots in that way too. But the fact that Zach Wilson played so badly, that was like Nathan Peterman level bad in his first game in 2017. That is so bad. Zach Wilson has been playing so terrible this year. That is really bad. And now you gotta go up against look like a very elite offense so far, like kind of like the 2015 Broncos, although it's way too early to probably say that because, hey, you had to play the Giants and Jaguars, not really good teams either, but you gotta go up against the Jets too, which is a bad team as well, so easily gonna pick the Broncos for this one to keep their hot start going. Then it's the Dolphins at the Raiders for the second year in a row. Rematch from that last Thursday night game of the year, remember. As the Raiders try to go 3-0 for the first time since 2002. The Dolphins won the last two. The Raiders haven't beaten them since 2017. And they haven't beaten the Dolphins at home since 1996. So the Dolphins got completely shut out by the Bills last week as Tua got injured. Why am I not surprised? And the Raiders, off to a really hot surprise to start, beating two playoff teams convincingly too against the Steelers. Their Russian offense is really bad, but the rest of their offense is really good. Their defense is playing solid so far. Well, at least average, because the last, 4 or 5 seasons, their defense has been, one of the worst in the league. And they're off to a good start right there. And, of course, remember, the Dolphins beat them in the last-second game finish last year. I'm going to pick the Raiders to win this one, though, but don't underestimate the Dolphins. They beat you last year on last-second play. They can do it again, maybe. Then we get to the Seahawks at the Vikings for the first time since 2015, as the Vikings try to avoid 0-3 for the third year in a row. The Seahawks have won the last 6. The Vikings haven't beaten them since 2009, which is the last time the Seahawks... Wait, no, it was 2015 when they last beat them on the road. So the Seahawks, at first, it looked like they were going to destroy the Titans, but then they choked it and let the Titans pull it off in overtime. Meanwhile, the Vikings had a really strong offensive start at the end where they were just trouncing the Cardinals, but then they let them make the comeback, and then they missed a field goal to get the win. Man, tough start to the Vikings, 0-2 off of close losses. That's definitely not good, as Mike Zimmer's probably getting on the hot seat right now. Remember, these two have played each other the last, 4 years in a row or so. Remember, it was out in Seattle, though, for those 2 Monday nights and Sunday night last year. Now it's at the Vikings. And you know what? Possibly in an upset, I'm going to pick the Vikings for this one. As last year's game was really close. Seahawks blew their game against the Titans last week, just like the Vikings did. And they've been really close, so I'm actually going to feel the Vikings might be in upset mode this year. I mean, right now. But watch the Seahawks get it. And then a huge matchup with possibly NFC playoff scenes at the line. As it's the Buccaneers at the Rams for the first time since 2019. As the Buccaneers try to go 3-0 for the first time since 2005. The Rams try to go 3-0 for the first time since 2019. The Rams won the last one that Monday night last year. Buccaneers haven't beaten them since 2019, and the Rams haven't beaten them at home since 2013. Well, 2015, actually. It's right. The last game in St. Louis, my bad. So, anyways, the Buccaneers crushed the Falcons as Brady's looking like an MVP candidate right now, but their defense is playing really bad so far this year. Meanwhile, the Rams held on to beat the Colts. Not playing as good as they probably should be right now, but hey, 2-0 is still a good start to the year, especially in that tough division. This is going to be huge. As remember that Monday night game they had last year, went right down to the wire and the Rams won it. And you know what? I'm going to pick the Rams to get it, mostly because the Buccaneers defense is playing really bad, and this is the Buccaneers' first big challenge of the year. And then we get to Sunday night, which should not be on this list, as the Packers are at the 49ers for the third year in a row, as the 49ers try to go 3-0 for the first time since 2019. The Packers won the last one. 49ers haven't beaten them since 2019, and the Packers haven't won in Santa Clara since 2015, as the Packers crushed the Lions, so now they're back salvaging their season after that terrible start to the year against the Saints. Meanwhile, the 49ers in a defensive struggle just held on to beat the Eagles. They got off to a 2-0 start, but I don't think they're playing really good necessarily either, as the Packers, surprisingly, their offensive stats have looked really bad still, even after that big victory against the Lions. That's how badly they got crushed by it. But I'm picking the Packers to get this one. And then we get to Monday night with the NFC East on the line. Whoever wins this game will lead the division, as the Eagles are at the Cowboys, as the Cowboys won the last one. Eagles haven't beaten them since 2020 and 2017 in Arlington, as the Eagles had that defensive struggle against the 49ers. Could have almost been 2-0, but just couldn't get it. And the Cowboys, close victory against the Chargers, and they managed to get it. Now, of course, we saw the last 2 years with the Eagles visit the Cowboys, they've gotten crushed by them. And I think that's going to continue on here, as I'm picking the Cowboys to beat the Eagles. So those are my picks for week 3. I cannot wait for Panthers at Texans tonight. So my picks, to wrap it up: Panthers over the Texans, Colts over Titans, Giants over Falcons, Chiefs over Chargers, Steelers over Bengals, Browns over Bears, Ravens over Lions, Patriots over Saints, Cardinals over Jaguars, Bills over football team, Broncos over the Jets, Raiders over the Dolphins, Vikings over the Seahawks, Rams over the Buccaneers, 49ers over the Packers, and Eagles over the Cowboys. Alright, so see you guys next time for week 4.